Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are doing day 11 of the advent of cyber. Now, I know I'm a little bit behind on these, and that's fine. You guys still have plenty of time to do it, so don't worry about that. So let's go ahead and hop into it. First things first, this machine over here is frozen, I think. Okay, no, it's not. Just wouldn't let me right click. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So first things, let's go ahead and just hit that like button, hit that sub button. Help me out here. We need it. We love it. Let's get going. So this one, again, I really like the fact that TryHackMe does this. They tell you you're going to need an attack box, and they tell you you're going to need this VM here. So for some reason, this machine here won't let me, there we go. All right, it wouldn't let me change the size, so I wanted to make sure that I could actually do that. We'll just do it, see if that's too big for you guys. Nope, that's good. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about Active Directory. So they said this is one thing I think they've missed the mark again, and I understand these are very small modules, so I think it's very difficult to cram in what they're trying to cram in these small modules. So Active Directory 101, they put a 2-paragraph definition of Active Directory. Theoretically, yes, that's correct. It is Active Directory 101. That is what Active Directory is. It is the heart of pretty much your entire network. The problem is this won't teach you anything about Active Directory. Yes, it teaches you the Windows Hello for Business, but it doesn't teach you Active Directory. So don't put it as Active Directory 101, in my opinion. If you're interested in the Active Directory boxes, go to my channel, check. I have the Active Directory introduction and all that stuff. That is actually explaining Active Directory. This is not going to explain Active Directory. So there's some assumed knowledge here. And I understand this in this advent, you're going to keep getting more assumed knowledge as it gets harder and harder. So just know that when you go into this. So first off, think passwords are hard to remember. Say hello to work or Windows Hello for business. One thing I'll say, this is not super widespreadly enabled. And the main reason is there's a lot of pieces that have to go in place when Windows implements something like this. For one, Linux machines, Mac machines, right? They can't just turn this on because there's other machines in environments. The other thing is a lot of times they use biometrics here. Well, that means every single machine in your workplace has to have a biometric camera. Things like that. There's a lot of pieces that have to be put in place. So this isn't super widely adopted, but it is out there, so it is good to look for. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So first off, what is it, right? Let's just go ahead and read what they say it is. So it's a modern and secure way to replace conventional password-based authentication. Okay, cool, sounds good. Instead of relying on traditional passwords, it utilizes cryptographic keys for user verification. Users on Active Directory and AD using a PIN or biometrics connect to a pair of cryptographic keys, public and private. Those keys help prove the identity. So what is it? Well, your machine has a key on it, or your private and public key, just like any authentication or encryption. So you have this key on your machine, and it's trusting your machine is really kind of what it's doing. And when you're putting the PIN in and all that jazz, it's getting rid of the passwords. It's using that cert as the authentication method. From your perspective, from a user perspective, you're still going to have a password. A PIN is a password, okay? Your biometrics, that's a password, right? You're using something. So it's not passwordless, but yes, you're not using the traditional passwords. So here's a procedure to store a new pair of certificates. So when you go, this is Active Directory, ADUC as they call it, Active Directory Users and Computers. If you go in here to users and they look, see it says MSDS key credential link, and it says not set, okay? So they don't have it set. So the user account's credential link attribute will be set. That's what they're setting up. And that's where you put a certificate. And when that certificate's trusted, it's going to actually basically do this exact process right here. Client logs in, right? Then I go to authenticate, authorization, right? So authorization, the domain controller decrypts the client's pre-authentication data using the raw public key stored. So this is the raw public key in your credential link, which would be right here, okay? Now, certificate generation. The certificate is created for the user by the domain controller. It can be sent back to the client. So now they're saying, hey, yeah, your your credentials good, or your certificate's good. Here's what we're going to generate for you. Here's the certificate we're giving you. So they're checking your public key. When you say, here's my public key, they say, yeah, that's good, thanks. Here's the cert. Now authentication. After that, the client can log into the Active Directory domain using the cert. So now when you go to authenticate to the Active Directory domain, you are not using your password, meaning your credential is not going over the wire, meaning if I'm sitting there sniffing the traffic or anything, even if it's encrypted, I'm not getting a password. I'm getting a certificate. All right. So enumeration, this is very similar to how Kerberos works. It's not the same thing, just know that, but it's similar. If you're familiar with Kerberos, it's a similar process. So now enumeration, what we're looking for here, and we're just going to walk through this. You can see I already CD'd into the user's HR desktop. So if you guys want to see, make sure you follow the steps perfectly. You can see I'm in C users HR. I just went to their desktop. Okay, and that's where all of the passwords, all of the tools you're going to need are. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say PowerShell, and we're going to say EP bypass. This just gets rid of that pop-up that's going to say all the time, like, are you sure you want to do this? We're going to stop doing that, okay? And then here we're going to say period, and then run PowerShell, or PowerView, excuse me, PS1. What's this going to do is it's going to load it into memory. What that means is now when I run commands, if it can't find the command, it's going to look in PowerView PS1 and see if it is imported there. So now we've just imported all of PowerView PS1, all of the commands in there. So now we can say find interesting domain, access control list, and then resolve GUIDs. And we'll hit enter. You got to actually type, apparently. Parameter cannot be found. That maybe because I can't spell. That's why I spelled resolve GUIDs completely wrong. Because you got to have an E to resolve anything. Okay, we'll pull this up here so you can see. Okay, and you can see it's going to take a second to run. So what this is going to do is it's going to return all users' privileges. You can see here what they actually do is as you follow it, they start filtering specifically for users, the user that they're looking for. We don't really need to do that here, and you'll see why. Now you could, if you follow it, you could do this. But keep in mind the user that we're going to exploit here is not this HR user. So that's where some of you might get caught up, is if you're just trying to follow these steps to the letter, it is not the same. They do change the user, and that's why they require you to do the box to actually get the user. So this box was going very fast when I was using it 10 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden it's slowed to a crawl. So I don't know why it did that, but we'll walk through this process. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find if a user has incorrect permissions, right? The incorrect permission here that we're looking for is right down here. You'll see it. It is this generic write permission, because this generic write permission we can actually write to the MSDS key credential link. What's that mean? We can actually put a certificate in there that will then be trusted. Okay, hit enter. There we go. It's starting to actually give me something here. All right, so you can see if we look right away, you can see we have right here the very first user, Van Sprinkles, has generic write to it. So we don't have to do much. The very first user had generic write. So we didn't have to filter this out and look and all that jazz. It's the last user in that we enumerated. So Van Sprinkles has generic write. That's what we're looking for. So now that we found it, we're going to use a tool called Whisker. So we're just going to say, hey, Whisker, add. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the target, Van Sprinkles. Whoops, Sprinkles. Okay, and you can, as you read this, you can see what it's going to do. Is this is going to simulate. We can run the add command for Whisker to simulate the enrollment of a malicious device, updating. So right here, it's going to update this MSDS credential link attribute, meaning it's going to assign it a certificate. That's perfect for us because we need that certificate to pretend that's who we are, right? So if somebody doesn't have a certificate, we can still put one in there for them. And I can't tell if this is not, there we go. That's what it is I'm not hitting enter. So this looks like a bunch of hoopla, right? But it's telling you, you can now run Rubius with the following syntax. So what we're gonna do is take exactly what they said, because it's telling you to run this. This is the certificate it generated. Now it looks chaotic, but it's the certificate they generated. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, cool, thank you. And we're just gonna copy and paste it. We're just gonna say, hey, let's paste it right here. Okay, I pasted it. I haven't hit enter yet, but you can see it's going to run. This is exactly what it's going to do. It's going to break it down this way. It says ask TGT, ticket granting ticket. This will make a request to obtain the ticket granting ticket. Okay, then the user. That's obviously the user we want to impersonate. So you can see if I scroll up past the certificate, here it is, Rubius.exe, ask TGT, ask ticket granting ticket. The user, Van Sprinkles. Then the certificate it generated. Now the certificate is, obviously you're not going to understand, or you're not going to read it. And I scrolled too far. Okay. And then after the ticket, it says, so after certificate, it says password. This is a password for decoding the certificate itself because the certificate is encrypted. And then you say domain. The domain here is aoc.local. And then get credentials. This flag will retrieve the NTLM hash. Okay. And then show. Perfect. And then the DC one is just the domain controller. So now we hit enter. And what have we got? The command rubius.exe was not found. Okay, well, we got to just do this then. So all we got to do here, and this is a pain in the butt. Let's just do it this way. All right, so what we're going to do, so what it is this rubius.exe. We just need to change it. All right, that's what I was afraid of. All right, so we're just going to go all the way to the beginning. I'm a little bit worried about this, about shortcuts in this. That's for everyone saying, why didn't you just use a shortcut? The reason is I'm a little bit worried about this box. It's not responding the way I want, so... okay, let's go ahead and talk about it. So this Rubius tool, what it's going to do is it's going to put this certificate and say, hey, I have a valid certificate because Whisker already put the certificate in place for us. So what does that mean? That means that certificate is in that, if you go look at that attribute in the Active Directory, that certificate's in there, right? All right, I'm not going to do this. We're going to clear this out. Okay, we're going to hit enter. It's going to error out. Okay, perfect. So what we need to do is we need to do this. The Rubius, there it is, Rubius.exe, Rubius.exe, and then we'll hit copy paste. Let's see if that runs it. Okay, see the machine is just, okay. The machine is just not responding. I'm doing stuff, it's not responding. What we're gonna do is go up and copy without the Rubius piece. Maybe, I'm scrolling up by the way, if you guys are wondering. Okay, so now we can run Rubius, here we go. So, okay, we could, where'd he go? Here we go. So what we're gonna do is say, take everything but the Rubius.exe because, come on, baby. She's working. She's giving all she's got. This machine must have like no memory. Okay. We've got something here. All right, well, wait. So back to what we were saying. So the Whisker created this certificate and put it in that place, in that attribute for us. Once it put it in that attribute, now we just need it to, we need Rubius to query it and say, hey, I have this certificate needed. Can you give me, oh my goodness, okay. Can you give me the ticket granting ticket, right? And it'll say, yeah, you got the attribute, you're good to go. Here's your ticket. And then that ticket you can actually use to log onto the machine. Okay. Come on, baby. You work with me. There we go. So now we just say Rubius. And we'll see if it actually worked. Control, where did the E come from? Oh my God, it literally just copied an E. This is tough. The hardest part about this box is copying and pasting. I'll be honest with you. Okay, let's try this again. I don't know where it got the E from. Okay, we go back here and we say control. Well, let's see. See, and the other thing is they took away the little icon over here where you used to be able to copy and paste into another like box. That was really nice. They didn't take it away like permanently. They took it away from there we go. They took it away from this box specifically. So now Rubius is running, and that's why I was afraid to use shortcuts right there, by the way. So Rubius is running, and you can see what it's going to do is exactly what I just said. It's going to now reach out and say, hey, can I have the ticket granting ticket? Here is the certificate that's needed, and we know the certificate because we generated it. So we put it in place, and when it works, you'll see what we'll get is we'll get the actual NTLM hash. All right, there we go. So now we have the NTLM hash of what we need of the ticket granting ticket. So now we take that hash. So now we actually gathered the credentials. We got the hash. Now we just do a pass the hash attack, right? So now we go to, we go to our machine. By the way, the hash, you can see it here. That's where you're going to get the hash from because it's asking for the hash of the vulnerable user. It's not asking for the hash of HR or admin like they kind of play it out. So now we just say evil win RM. Okay, evil win RM, and then we're going to say then the IP is 10.10. Here we go, 10.10.105.95, and then instead of user admin, we're going to use Van Sprinkles, and then the hash. There's the hash. Hit enter, and I know you guys can't see that. Let me make it bigger for you. Okay, so again, all we did, evil win RM, then the IP, then the user Van Sprinkles. Let me move my camera for you real quick. Trying to get better about that. User Van Sprinkles, the hash, and then when we hit enter, look at that. We have a shell. We are in. So the question asked, what's the hash? There it is. We got that from the previous. Now, this one, it says, what is the contents of the flag.txt on the admin desktop? This one threw me off just for a second because I thought, well, we're not admin, but we do have the permissions to view it. So we're going to say C, because I thought they were saying pivot to admin at that point. So, but they were not. So C, users, okay, and then administrator, and then desktop. And then we can see there's a flag.txt, and you can't. And then you can see down here it says TryHackMe Xmas is safe. So hopefully you guys like this. This is a very good misconfiguration that you can take advantage of, because even though not that many companies may use it, it doesn't mean that they don't have it enabled. So make sure when you're doing pen testing and things like that, you're looking for this type of stuff, because this misconfiguration can cost big time. So thank you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and see you later.